No, it's turned quite weathery. I mean, it was weathery before, but now it's weatherier. But I think we're going to be okay. There's a little bit of rain about, a little bit of wind. We're okay, we're fine. And I do have this, which is a new tote bag. Now, I make Moore's bags. I don't need to be buying them. But this has got a frog on it, so that's how you make me buy things. You put a frog on it. And it's a Totes For Wildlife from Zoos Victoria, and this is going to their breeding and release program for the critically endangered spotted tree frog. I'm going to put a link in the description if you would like your own frog tote, because you probably do, because look at that. Anyway, that's what I've got my stuff in. I haven't had a particularly productive week in a lot of ways. I've been a bit procrastinating. I've been putting stuff off. I think that happens to everybody from time to time. I'm not that worried about it. Hopefully I can get my mojo back this week, or maybe I won't. We'll find out. This is wet finished though, and it has come out just as I wanted it to, which is fluffy. Look how fluffy. Well, you can't really see because I'm showing you badly. There we go. I wonder if there's a course you can do for how to show things on the internet. Probably. Hello? Are you having a dust bath? There's a chook. It's a chicken. I'm not talking to my feet. So this is nice and fluffy, which has given a really nice texture. It's very tactile. I love the colour still, so I'm really pleased with that. I'll show you the length in case you didn't see it last week. I mean, it looks much the same all the way along, but I'm really pleased with how that's come out. I think it's pretty good, and I don't mean to sound up myself, but I think that's pretty good. So on the loom last week, I had the mix of cotton and wool, and that is not only off the loom, it is wet finished. Now, I don't generally wet finish, just let me get my sleeve out of the way. I don't generally wet finish before I show you things off the loom because, a little behind the scenes for you here, I tend to finish weavings on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I figure if I wet finish them, they might not be dry for Wednesday. But this time I thought I'd risk it. This time I thought I'd take the chance, and it might be dry for Wednesday. It isn't. It's a little damp. It's fine. It's nearly dry. So the wet finish did not do much for the shrinkage, I don't think. So let me show you that better. But this is the length. So it is all done. It's all washed. It's a little bit wrinkly, but aren't we all? And I'm pleased with it. I think it looks great. I love the stripes, and I love the stripes being broken up with the wool, but there isn't a huge difference between the wool. Let me see what's in shot and what isn't. So that's the wool, that's not the wool, that's the wool, and then that's the cotton. So there isn't a massive difference. The wool stripes are a little bit more open weave because it's a thinner yarn, and there's quite a big part of me going, chuck it in the washing machine and see what happens. And I don't know that I will do that, but I also don't know that I won't do that. I'm going to think about it. It might be a bad idea. It might be a brilliant idea. I don't know. I might regret it. I might not. But it might do something spectacular, or it might just look like this again. I don't know. So we'll decide, well, I'll decide whether or not I'm just going to chuck this in the washing machine and see what happens. But for now, this is how it looks. So not a huge difference in the texture or the shrinkage, but a bit of a difference in the weight of the weave, if that makes sense. The little loom still has the red thing on it. I'll show you a photograph of that. Not a huge amount of progress on that. It still looks much the same as it did last week. I did do a little bit on it, but not like heaps, obviously. So hopefully that will be off the loom for next week, but we'll see how I travel on that. Now, last week, I had my crochet cardigan, and I very, very firmly said, I swore I was not going to frog it. So, after some deliberation and some consideration, I have frogged it. Now, the reason I frogged it, so that's where I'm at now. I'm about maybe 12 rows back from where I was last week. So, in my defense, to be fair to me, and I think we should be fair to me at all times, holding it up and looking at it while I was working on it, and also even spreading it on the bed and sort of laying it out, it didn't look that curly. And then when I was looking at it on the footage, like from a third person perspective, I thought, oh no, that is very curly. So after all my swearing that I wasn't going to frog it, I have frogged it. So we're back to there. And the way I decided where to stop frogging it, and I realise now it's still curly when I hold it up, but that I think is not as bad as it could be. That I think is where we're going to frog to. So I laid it out flat on the bed and found where that curl started, and then I frogged back 2 rows from where the real serious curl started. So it's a little bit curly here, but I think that is going to flatten out, although I did say that last week, it ended up going backwards, but that's okay. And one of the good things is that led me to frog back to this row here at the top, you can see, or this round, which is a really easy one to find in the pattern because it's when the repeats change. Did that make sense? Sometimes I'm talking and I get to the end of the sentence or the middle of the sentence and think, I'm just making stuff up. I'm not making stuff up. I'm being very honest with you. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Let me get this ball of yarn out of the way. So you can see here we've got these repeats, which is just one stitch in the gap and then one stitch in the gap. And then this round here that I've frogged back to is the start of the 2 stitches in the gap. So it's easy to find in the pattern. I'm not going to get myself confused. And then after this, it's a load of repeats up to the armholes. So this was probably a good spot to frog back to. So that's how it's looking. I was going to work on it a little bit and just didn't. As I said, very procrastinating week. So maybe next week I will have a few more rounds on that. It was the right decision. I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. But it was much, much curlier in the footage than I realised it was. Because I think when you're putting something flat on the bed to see if it's curly, you can sort of flatten it out on this side and then ignore that this side is flipping up like that. So those of you who told me to frog, you were correct, and I had a little tantrum about it. Not really. I did sort of go, oh, but it was the right decision. I'm going to be happier with it if it's not curling. I can go on from here using the technique to stop it from curling, but we have gone a little bit backwards, and it does mean I have to do the armholes again, and the armholes are a little bit of a pain. Not the armholes themselves, but the next round on top of the armholes. But I'll talk about that in about 3 weeks when I get back to the armholes. But that is all I have for you this week. I'm going to head inside because it does look like it might rain on me, which it's allowed to do. I'm not going to complain about the rain, but I am going to complain about having to change my jumper because I'm a diva like that. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to stop. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.